Hi, my name is Rebecca Brown and I'm a journalist in Winter Park, Florida. I'm here today with Brian Wickland. He's a Defense-Based Act law attorney in Maitland, Florida with the law firm Garfinkel Schwartz. The reason I'm talking to Brian is that he gave me some alarming information today after receiving a call from overseas, which Garfinkel Schwartz often does. Garfinkel Schwartz helps people around the world receive their benefits from the Defense-Based Act law. And Brian, thanks for talking with me today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Explain to me what and who is hiring who. If we would start at the top, it's the United States Department of Defense. And they go and they hire subcontractors or contractors, companies from the United States, Europe, in India, from Asia, from Africa, from South America, Central America. It's those contractors who are sometimes called subs that they have to go and then find staffing to go and work in these war zones, including Iraq and Afghanistan. When they're hiring people, they're hiring people to do manual labor and technical jobs. They may be working on U.S. military bases or for the military in various capacities, whether it's providing food service, water, transportation. They could be working on weaponry. They could be building and constructing in Iraq or Afghanistan.
Most of the clients that I talk to, or potential clients that I talk to that have been injured or killed, the biggest conflict arose between, say, 2004 and 2011, and then we moved through from the troops withdrew from Iraq in 2011. That doesn't mean that the contractors did. So these things happen on a daily basis. I have calls to come in. A person was injured last week in Afghanistan, and they came back and they called.
So it's sort of a step away. And if I'm a mother and I've lost my son, who was in Turkey, and he was hired by a subcontractor to go to Iraq or Afghanistan, and that subcontractor, let's say he or she is from Ireland or from the Philippines or from Africa, there's a disconnect. And how would they know how to find who's responsible for their son's death? They just know that their son has died. Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening. Okay. And the good part about the law is that there's a normal statute of limitations that, if a person dies or you're injured severely and you can't work, there's a 1-year statute of limitations that applies that if you don't notify the Department of Labor by that time, you're barred. However, there's a presumption in the law that your claim is timely from the point when you knew that you knew or should have known that you actually had benefits under this law. And if the employer does not report it to the Department of Labor within 1 year, and the employer doesn't explain what the situation is that you may have rights under American law, many judges will make that leap and say this person should not be held to this limitation because there's no way they could have actually found out about this until recently. And if the employer and the insurance companies have a duty to notify people of a death under their watch, including all subcontractors, and they don't do it.
So to be clear, we're not pointing fingers. I mean, this is a war. There are conflicts and there's going to be losses, and that's a horrible thing. But we're not saying that there's necessarily a deception, but that there is a whole group of people who are not being compensated and cared for after serving the needs of a larger group who's fighting a war. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say it's deception necessarily. It's just that there's no mechanism in place overseas that forces a subcontractor to tell an injured person or a dead person's family what their rights are under the Defense-Based Act. There is no mechanism in place that forces them to do that, other than they're supposed to file a claim within 1 year when they find out about a death. They don't do any of that. So it's more an act of silence. It's simply a subcontractor. The subcontractor may not even know if the general contractor doesn't tell them. So these other foreign companies may not even know to tell the people their rights. So it may not be deception, maybe just completely ignorance. But whatever it is, these people are covered under this law and they don't know about it, and they'll never find out about it unless someone like me or someone that's interested, like these gentlemen that are helping Turkish families on their own. find people and explain to them and say, where did you work? How did this happen to you? What were you doing at the time in Iraq or Afghanistan? And then once that diatribe comes out, we can then figure out if they're actually covered, and they usually are.
So if I'm a family member of somebody who has died and I live in the Philippines or in Pakistan or India or any of the countries where there's subcontractors, how would I get in touch with an attorney like yourself?
That's difficult because a lot of people aren't internet savvy, and they aren't necessarily capable of finding my website.
Do they have internet access? That's always the question.
Yeah, if they have internet access and they put in Defense Base Act law, hopefully sooner or later my name will pop up and my face will pop up, and they'll be able to contact me.
Okay.
And if it's an issue of not being able to speak English, we have translators, we can help. That's what I've been trying to do for a long time now, to try to touch these people that have no idea what their rights are, and they're hard to find. Because what happens is they get injured, they get sent back to where they came from. Hopefully they can get it back into their country, which sometimes is an issue. And then they're forgotten about. And so they get a ticket home. Hopefully they can go back home. They get a ticket somewhere away from Afghanistan or Iraq where they got injured after they get out of the hospital, and they just say goodbye. And they don't know what to do after that. They just figure, I was unlucky, I got hurt, and I'm just going back home. Hopefully they'll hire one of my family members in my place. That's about all they can think to do.
So if somebody wants to contact Garfinkel Schwartz, they can write a letter. There's an address on the website, and we'll post that address here as well. There's email. I understand that you'll Skype or video conference if possible.
Yes.
And if we're talking a remote village or town or city, no matter where it is in the United States, at some point maybe there is a mail system. So we'll make sure that the addresses for Garfinkel Schwartz law firm in Florida is left available to these people. But thank you, Brian, for talking with me today, and thank you for your work in helping these people.
Well, thank you for caring, because this is something that just helps families across the world that need the help, and the benefits are there, and it's just a connection between getting the benefits and finding the people that are entitled to them. So thank you.
Great.